Okay, welcome back. Reading Alan Badiou. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I already made the recommendation on the video that we find on YouTube. We're talking about the event, and let's just dive into it, right? So the book is called Being an Event, and we particularly focused on the introduction, him introducing three major themes, which he sees in terms of Heidegger's ontological philosophy that should be, transformed into a mathematical language as a revolutionary act that also includes a new idea of a subject that is void and empty. So yeah, we really went through these passages here, and yeah, just let's go on with the second part of the introduction. Okay, so this part is really a little bit difficult. So he tries to explain his thesis again, that mathematics is ontology, and he uses the formulation of Aristotle, being qua being. It's science of being qua being. So yeah, I just looked up the Aristotle for this here. So Aristotle's study does not concern some recondite subject matter known as being qua being. Rather, it is a study of being, or better, of beings, of things that can be said to be, that studies them in particular ways as beings insofar as they are beings. So what does that mean? Does not concern. Well, it's a weird way of formulating that, right? He's not concerned being qua being. Yes, he wants to know being qua being, right? So I just looked that up in the Stanford article again. Being qua being. So Aristotle himself described his subject matter in a variety of ways as first, philosophy, or the study of being qua being, or wisdom, or theology. Let's look a little bit further. So the description, the study of being qua being, is frequently and easily misunderstood, for it seems to suggest that there is a single, albeit special subject matter, being qua being, that is under investigation. But Aristotle's description does not involve two things. First, a study, and second, a subject matter, for he did not think that there is any subject matter as being qua being. Rather, his description involves three things. First, a study. Second, a subject matter, which are beings, I guess. And third, a manner in which the subject matter is studied, qua being. So it's the study of being qua being. So we have the study, then we have the subject matter, which is being. So precise. Okay, so like the people explaining that, right? So Aristotle's Greek word that has been Latinized as qua means roughly insofar as, or under the aspect. Okay, this is helpful. A study of x qua y then is a study of x that concerns itself solely with the y aspect of x. So Aristotle's study does not concern some recondite subject matter known as being qua being. Rather, it is a study of being, or better, of beings, things that can be said, that studies them in a particular way as being insofar as they are beings. Okay, so can I press that in easier terms? I don't think so. I try. So when we study being, I believe we only have beings around. And now what we do, we study all the beings insofar as they are this one thing, being. So yeah, therefore let's go back to Badiou. So when he talks here about mathematics is ontology, the science of being qua being, then mathematics also studies beings insofar as they these beings represent a certain kind of oneness. That's how I understand it. And this is the speculative idea under which he restricts the matter. So he subjectivizes it, right? If I don't misunderstand him here. So, and now in the next step, he says that this thesis also combines with Marxism because it has a certain kind of dialectical materialism, and that is that there's an isomorphy between the dialectic of nature and the dialectic of history. So this is a bit hard for me to understand, but I think what he means is that the research that we do in mathematics, the history of mathematics, is itself an ontology. So I guess the way of how we figure something out, the historical component is itself ontological. Now, this may be totally false, but I cannot make more sense of what he says here. So, for example, he says here the sentence, when one still battles today alongside Prigogine, and within atomic physics searching for dialectical corpuscles, one is no more than a survivor of a battle which never seriously took place, save under the brutal injunctions of the Stalinist state. Nature and its dialectic have nothing to do with it at all. I don't know what he says here, right? So I think the idea is that we can somehow study beings that are historical results combined with the idea of an overall one, and that is maybe also the idea of how Marx understands history as teleologically moving towards a oneness that then, for example, seems to be enforced by the Stalinist state, which of course is a false way to go, right? So, and then, but that the process subject be compatible with what is pronounceable or pronounced of being, there is a serious difficulty for me. What is your ontology? So, and here it comes to Lacan. So please help me in the comments if you understand better what he means here, because I'm a bit unclear. Why does he introduce dialectical historicism with regard to Marx here? What does he mean by Stalinism? And how does he organize the transition to Lacan? This is what I cannot clarify here for myself, and maybe you can help me on that matter. So now in the following, it becomes a bit clearer, because he says that Lacan said, what is ontology? Well, it's pure logic as the science of the real. And the real remains a category of the subject. This is what I think is a very interesting thought. We always want to deal with reality. Many people call themselves realists. I mean, then we also have the constructivists who say, well, everything is constructed and we have no access to the real. I find both positions a bit problematic, but I find it interesting when we say, well, reality is a necessary proposition, a necessary presupposition of our understanding in order to understand the empirical phenomena that are around us. And what we are doing at that moment is real. So in a sense, that's the old Kantian project where we show that the subjective conditions of thinking are objective, right? That our subjective processes have an objectivity. Nevertheless, so okay, he studied math, but he always had a problem. But then he understood that mathematics means the complete eradication of sense. And that then there is nothing in mathematics except its own consistency. There is no referent of the logic mathematical discourse. And I think he wants to overcome that because he believes now there is a distance between an object obtained by abstraction from the empiricist matter and on the other side a supersensible idea where this abstract object is probably given. So this is the same dilemma in which one is trapped by the universally recognized Anglo-Saxon distinction between formal and empirical sciences. So, and he wants to come now with a doctrine, namely that the real is the impasse of formalization. So yeah, there is this impasse, something that we cannot overcome in mathematics, this formalization which eradicates the object. And he started now to research on the distinction of the discrete and the continuous, something that is discrete point, but that there's also a continuous line, is a line agglomeration of points. That's the question. And he comes here to a radical thesis. And this radical thesis is that the sole manner in which intelligible figures could be found within was if one first accepted that the multiple for mathematics was not a formal concept, transparent and constructed, but a real whose internal gap and impasse were deployed by the theory. So what is the multiple in mathematics? It seems we cannot have that because mathematics is one. Does he imply this? Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And it seems he wants to use the paradox for his theory now. We have to look further into that. He has to explain it in further detail. I'm not sure what to think of this right now. But he says that the whole history of rational thought can be brought to the hypothesis that mathematics has actually an object. It's far from being a game without object, and draws the exceptional severity of its law from being bound to support the discourse of ontology. So mathematics is integrated in the question of one being and how multiples are possible within being. But he now wants to reverse here the Kantian question, and he doesn't want to ask how is pure mathematics possible. He thinks that's rather the foundation, and therefore he wants to ask, pure mathematics being the science of being, how is a subject possible? How can a subject exist within the objective sphere of mathematics, which is the real? Because it seems the subject is not the real. Well, difficult stuff here to follow all the thoughts that go in like these different directions. Please inform me if you understand that better. That would certainly be helpful. I will just keep reading the introduction, and I hope you follow along with me. Thanks for watching so far. As I said, you can also go to my blog. There you find more information, right? Everything about this will be in the descriptions below. Again, I recommend this introductory documentary on YouTube on BADIOU. It's a nice documentary with interviews where he's talking about his theory, but also about his personal life. I enjoyed it very much. Because it's great to see such a philosopher in action. What I call an event is something stronger and much more violent than a biographic narrative, right? An event is a cut. That's what he says here. Yeah, it's sometimes in English, sometimes in French. So, yeah. Nevertheless, if you enjoyed this and you want to see more, then like, share and subscribe, comment, and bye-bye.